Hello there again, it's Jock here in Scotland. For the last couple of weeks I've been watching the telly there and watching the riots and how they're merely starting. And I blame the government's to blame. And it's quite simple. The Tories can't understand why the teenagers were riot. Well, it's quite simple. Most of the teenagers didn't have a job. And they didn't seem to have much point in ever getting a job because the government's no interested in creating any apprenticeships or creating any jobs anywhere. The government's more concerned about the economy in other countries such as America and the Middle East and what's happening in Asia. All you ever hear from them is, oh yes, well we've got to build up Iraq, we've got to build up Afghanistan, we've got to give Pakistan money, we've got to give this yen money, that yen money, we've got to help them out with their education, their economy, and we've got to get them work. What about work in England? What about work in England and in the rest of the UK? Are they no entitled to anything? There's British people here just to pay income taxes and pay other taxes just to keep the rest of the world. Take the television for instance. No, before the television, take your car for instance. You can't buy a second-hand car nowadays under £1,000 because all the old bangers have been taken off the road and all smashed up. So the days for buying a cheap car's past. So that kind of stops people going about looking for work. The next thing is, people that didn't have any work generally had to sit in the house watching their TV. I always like that myself, I had to sit and watch my wee black and white portable or my wee coloured portable. And then suddenly the government decides that that frequency is going to shut down. So they just shut it down. So the alternative is you've got to buy a new television. Some people pay a fortune for their television. It might not be a fortune to you and the government, but it is to their people. So they've got themselves a wee TV, it's no any use to them now. So you expect them just to go out and buy another one. Get a flat screen with thousands of free new channels and all the rest of it on it. That was all unnecessary. You can't buy a television nowadays under £100 that you can sit and watch. Now if you didn't have a job and you didn't have any money, how are you going to manage that? If you didn't create any work or anything, how is all the teenagers going to buy clothes and new shoes and other things? And then you hear the government and loads of other people, oh they're all going about in hoodies and that and all just tracksuits and that, you know. You're not dressed for going for a job. If they can't buy clothes and they can't buy fancy shoes or a good pair of shoes, what are they going to do? So they get to the extent they're sitting in the house or they're sitting or they hang about the corners. Maybe a dozen. Before long you've got 2 dozen. Then you've got 3 or 4 dozen. Then you've got that many people that the riot starts. And then that's it. Everybody joins on the bandwagon. If there's 1,000 people running up the road smashing all the shops galore and helping themselves, and there's half a dozen folk walking up the road that's in a really bad state, poor, and they see an opportunity, they're just going to take it. And it's the government, you're to blame. You think that's all we've got to do is have wars and pay for wars for other countries? I'm fed up listening to the television on the news. Oh, economy of this country and the economy of that country, and we've got to help them out. We've got to help out the countries with our euro, and we've got to help this one and help that one. And what happened? I'll give you an example. I can remember long ago when I worked in the pits. And the government decided to close the pits, Maggie Thatcher and her lot. And I was winning Maggie's millions. Put us on the dole and promised us more work. Promised we would get training. I never ever remember getting trained for anything. All they done was started a half a dozen factories down at North Queensferry for women to work in. There was no work for men. And it's been like that for the last 30 years. It doesn't matter what party gets in power, all they're concerned about is filling their own pockets first. That's my say. Tooraloo.